morning, everyone. My name is Mr. Ainsley Walker, and we are here with physical education for the lower school. We'll be looking at physical education for grade 7s, a basic introduction to it. We have been hearing this term physical education for the longest while, but how often have we actually done a dive into the definition and into what it really is and what are the objectives and what are the benefits of doing physical education? So that's what we'll be focusing on today. So what really is physical education? We can say there are many definitions. So we're going to work with one of the simpler definitions today. Physical education is education through the physical activities which aim to develop students' physical competence and knowledge of movement and safety and their ability to use these to perform a wide range of activities associated with the development of an active and a healthy lifestyle. So that's a mouthful. So it's basically using physical activity to do many different things, be it sports, leisure, whatever, to develop yourself in one way or another. Also with your social development, it is a factor, okay? It also develops students' confidence and generic skills, especially those of collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking, and aesthetic appreciation. So let's look at those words. It develops your confidence. When we are active, when we're physically active, it stimulates us. And when we get good at something physically, it builds our confidence. Naturally, we feel better about ourselves when we get better at something. So our skills of collaboration, working with each other, working with someone else. In sports, we're very active, and most times it's in a team or group setting. So while doing this, we learn to collaborate or coordinate with other persons. Communication skills, that is one that is developed greatly each time we do physical education, because we need to talk to our teammates, our opponents, our coaches, our managers, the wider public. So our communication skills is another one that's developed. Simply in PE class, just by the way you talk to your classmates in PE class, you learn to understand them better, because in front of the teachers in the formal room, oftentimes persons act very formal within a straight jacket based on the rules. But out on the field, they release their natural selves. So what we see is people behaving how they really are. So we learn to understand them, and we are better able to communicate with them when we do that. Now, critical thinking. PE is very good for critical thinking. If you look at sporting endeavors, to outsmart your opponent, to outsmart anyone, to evolve your game, to be better, you naturally have to think faster. You naturally have to grow mentally. So you automatically develop your critical thinking while doing physical education. I know a lot of persons didn't think that PE would do that for you, but it is essential for critical thinking. And aesthetic appreciation, how good something looks. Out on the field, you learn to understand how good it looks. Even it's the way someone kicks the ball. We look at the way people dribble. We look at the way they run. You can ask the athletes, we can ask the wider public, which Jamaican athlete has the best looking form. You can ask them how the athletes look. In sports, we get to appreciate the beauty of the things around us, especially in physical activity. Okay? So let's delve more into the definition. Physical education. Regular physical education classes prepare students to be physically and mentally active, prepares them to be fit and healthy. So physically and mentally active, it's physical education. So you're out, you're in the field, you're doing things naturally. So it's naturally making you active. Mentally active, now it's the way you play your game, understanding your game, understanding your rules, competing with someone who may be even better than you, the way you adapt to them. So it stimulates your mind, it gets you going. You have to be thinking through the game. What strategy am I going to use to outsmart him? How will I handle the pressure of this game? How will I handle the pressure of my teammates, of the fans? So it helps us to be mentally active also and healthy. As we understand the benefits of physical activity on our body, we become healthier because we will then begin to do the correct things. We will begin to do more to maintain a healthy lifestyle. An effective physical education program should include, now listen to this, engage in lessons. The lesson should be such that it pulls the student in. You would want to be a part of it. You want to be active. You want to participate, even if not physically. It should stimulate your mind so much. You want to know. You want to learn. To understand the rules of the sport, to understand the history of the sport. All of that helps to stimulate the mind. Physical education class should be conducted by trained PE teachers. Many schools in the olden days used to just use someone who used to do sports. But now, because the world is understanding the benefits of physical education, we don't do that anymore. You want to use trained persons, persons who are able to motivate and stimulate a student's mind, persons who are able to motivate students to try something new, to launch out, to come out of their comfort zones. Okay? Then we want adequate instructional periods. Some schools have very short periods. So a session that's only 35 minutes or 45 minutes would not be an adequate session for a physical education class, because by the time it takes for the students to change in their gear and the time the teacher has to leave at the end for the students to change out of their gear, the amount of instructional period would be so short, the class would not be beneficial for those students. So you want adequate instructional periods for a physical education class. And a physical education class must always have student evaluation. Always. Because how would you know if the child has grown, if the child has learned, if the child has benefited from the class? Now, what is physical activity? Any activity performed by the body that requires the use of energy is physical activity. So you don't always have to be playing a game, as long as it's requiring physical activity. You could take up hiking as your physical activity. You could take up an odd sport. As long as it requires energy from the body, then that is physical activity. Now, in physical activity, there are high impact activity and low impact activity. Now, high impact activity would be our persons in competitive sports, persons running hard, persons playing hard, sprinting, jumping, weightlifting. These are high impact activities on the body. Now you have low impact activities such as walking, slow jogging, some smaller, softer games. It is important to understand the difference between them and know how to use one or the other. Because when someone is new to physical activity, you do not want to start them off with high impact activity. You run the risk of creating injury. So you would want to start them off with low impact activity. Also, when someone has an injury, you do not want to give them high impact activity because that may cause the injury to get worse. Okay, thank you. So we continue now. Why? Participation in physical education can satisfy some of our basic urges. Our basic urges, we have many urges as human beings, but some of the most basic ones, PE will satisfy them. One like the urge to know. Human beings are an inquisitive species. We like to gain new information. We like to understand something new. We like to go further mentally. So the need to know. When you're playing sports, you're getting to know a new sport. You're getting to know something new. I was researching track and field recently, and there are so many things I learned, and it is stimulating the mind when you know something new. Each time you learn something new, then it pulls you deeper into physical education. Okay, I was doing a research on the difference between what track and field was when Jesse Owens won the 100 meter and what was in 2016 when Usain Bolt won the 100 meter. And the differences were vast. Just that knowledge alone stimulated me to want to learn more. So when you're researching sports or physical education, the need to know is then stimulated. The need to move is another is another urge that physical education satisfies. Movement is one of the 7 characteristics of living things, and sports is one of the things that will stimulate that movement. Okay? The urge to compete. We are naturally competitive. We want to win. We want to go up against that guy. We want to beat that guy. We want to come first. And not just to win, but we want to see ourselves being better than we were yesterday. So even though I didn't win the race, I ran it in 11 seconds yesterday, but today I did it in 10.8. So sometimes the competition is not against someone else. Sometimes the competition is against yourself. It's against time. It's against an obstacle. The need to be praised. We love to be complimented. We love to be praised. Sports also provides that for us. Sports take us to that place where we are given multiple praise, multiple compliments, not just by the wider public, but even by yourself. When you realize that you have gotten better, you say, you know, you're not doing so bad. You realize how you have grown as a person in the sport that you have chosen to venture into. You realize that you are doing better daily. And then you say that to yourself and you gradually grow. And also the urge to succeed. The urge to succeed is a very important urge in life because that is what motivates us and that is what keeps us from going into depression. The urge to succeed. Sports helps us with the urge to succeed. So you see, like I mentioned, persons may not win a race. They may not become world number 1. But the fact that they are growing within the sport, that motivates them to go on, to keep trying, to keep pushing, to keep giving their all, because they realize the harder they work, the better they get. So the urge to succeed is one major urge that physical education will satisfy as we move forward. Now, continuing about why do we participate? It helps to develop skills in many sporting disciplines. Now, physical education is not just about going to play football, do track and field, play netball. Physical education is about opening your mind to new sports. On average, your PE teacher may introduce you to 2 or 3 sports per term. So at the end of the school year, you'd be introduced to a minimum of 6 sports, hopefully at least 9 sports though by the end of the school year. While being introduced to new sports skills, what you will see is that you're growing. You may like something else, something that you never wanted to do. You may like. I've seen in high school, I saw students come into high school on track and field scholarships and leave the school on basketball scholarships. I saw a boy come in to school on a track and field scholarship and left on a football scholarship. I saw the boy come in on a football scholarship and left on a track and field scholarship. There was one particular student who did no sport at all. And each time in PE class, he would rather hide from PE class until the teacher convinced him to participate in a class when they were doing basketball. This was while he got to 2nd form. And his love for basketball grew. By 4th form, he made the school's team. By 6th form, he won a basketball scholarship. So, physical education, you will learn and develop skills in a variety of sports. And as time goes on, you may become good enough in one of them to play at a competitive level. It encourages participation in sports and many other physical activities. Many students, many persons are used to living a sedentary life. What do we mean by a sedentary life? A life where we sit a lot, we are lazy, we move very little. Now, physical education will help us to develop the habit of moving around, participating, being a part. All of this will be a part of us as we participate in more physical education class. Our desire, our love for it will grow, and we in turn will become better at whatever we're doing, and we will develop a greater desire to participate in sports or other physical education. It also promotes fair play and sportsmanship. The way we compete, the way we play, the fact that we have to follow the rules of the game, the fact that we have to, or we could put it now, the fact that we have to work together with persons, we have to work within a confine, that helps us to develop sportsmanship and fair play, because you do not want to be thrown out of the game. You do not want to be barred. So you learn to follow rules. You learn to understand limitations. Okay? Now, let's look at some of the objectives of physical education. One, and this is a very crucial objective, is to understand the human body and how it works. Physical education is not just about sports. You need to learn to understand the human body and how it works. Understanding the human body is very important, because the more we understand the human body, the better we are able to train it, to prepare it, and to protect it. When we understand the human body, we become better at simple biomechanics. That is how we move in sports. We are able to do much more because we understand how things will affect the human body. The human body will always be able to adapt if we train it. So we need to understand how the human body works before we try to train it too much. So in physical education, we will learn how to understand how the human body works. We develop and use skills in different sporting disciplines. We've already discussed that through sports, we develop these skills and we learn to use them, and not just in sports. I remember being in college and one day rain was falling and I used my triple jump skills to cross a flooded road. So through basic physical activity, we learn to do many other things. We learn to develop new skills that we can employ in other aspects of our life. Now, participate regularly in physical activity as part of a personal fitness plan. Now, through PE class, when we learn how physical activity benefits our body, we will then understand the importance of doing it. So we will be more likely to develop a proper physical fitness plan, a plan that is going to develop our bodies not just for sports, but for our much healthier living, a much healthier lifestyle. And your trained PE teachers would understand when one student is able to sprint fast, one may not be able to sprint fast, but they will still want you to do the laps, but just not expecting you to do it at just the same fast pace as an athlete who is very agile, who is very fit, who is very strong. Okay? Your fitness plan is also one of the main things that you will use as you grow older to help stave off some of the other ailments that may affect you as you go on in life. Value physical activity and its contributions to good health. So one of the objectives is to help you to learn to value physical activity and its contributions to good health. It is important we learn to value that, because when we don't learn how to value physical activity and its contribution to good health, then we'll realize we do not do what is necessary to maintain good health. And it is important we try to maintain good health, because it is this good health that will help us to remain strong and fit as we get older. It also helps us to achieve and maintain physical fitness. We have discussed the importance of that and why we should. Now let's look at the objectives continued. Display responsible behavior, especially during physical activity. Now, how does physical activity help you to learn to be responsible? One, you learn to understand when someone depends on you, because when you're a part of a group or a team, you do not want to let them down. So you do not want to be late for training. You do not want to be late for the game. You know that you have a particular role. Your teammates, your friends, they are all depending on you. So you learn how to be responsible. You're the one taking the ball. You can't afford to be late to the playground. You're the one with the rule sheet. You can't afford not to turn up. So you learn how to be responsible while doing physical activity. Okay? Understand and respect differences among people in physical activity settings. People will be different, and sports will help you to understand the differences between them in a much better way than many of us do. We will not just look at that boy in class who you say, oh, he's so slow, he's so big, he can't move, and laugh at him, because that boy may be the one who's going to win the shot put for our school at champs. So we understand their difference. And then we look at that boy, oh, you're long arm maga. No, that's not the right way to go. That may be the boy who a few years time will win the high jump for us at champs. We look at that boy, you're short and this. No, he may find his niche in table tennis. So we all will realize that we are different. And through sports, we may learn to appreciate the differences in people and understand that each person's difference may actually be an attribute instead of something that takes away from them. It may be something that we use to elevate them instead of tearing them down. Next, one of the objectives, expand their options for the wise use of leisure time. Wise use of leisure time. So instead of just sitting and playing video games for 2 hours, or surfing the net for 2 hours, or just being on YouTube, whatever, for 2 hours, you learn to use that leisure time. So instead of 2 hours online, you use only an hour online, and then use that other hour to learn to develop another skill, and also to be a fitter person, a healthier person. Appreciate that physical activity provides opportunities for enjoyment, challenge, self-expression, and social interaction. Enjoyment, we all know that. When we're out here in PE class, we have a ton of fun. Whether we're doing the relay, whether we're playing football, whether we're doing cricket, the girls playing netball, whatever, we're enjoying ourselves. So physical education provides a way for us to enjoy ourselves in the day. Challenge, the sports challenges us to be better. It challenges us to be that guy, to be above the other person, to work harder, to better ourselves. Self-expression, we get the most honest and truest levels of self-expression from anyone in the field of sports. When you're out on the field, you release your true self. You speak the way you really want to speak. You let what's inside out, because at that time you're not being scripted. You're not being coerced. At that time you're being you. On the field of play, you give a true self-expression. And social interaction. PE class creates a lot of social interaction. The way we chat to our friends, the way we lean on their shoulder, the way we greet each other, the way we discuss the round of Fortnite you played yesterday, or what's the other one? PUBG, whatever. The way you discuss them, whatever the games are, Grand Theft Auto, those games. In PE class, you don't talk about it the way you talk about it inside the room. In PE class, you express yourself in a different way. So you're interacting in a different way socially. You're interacting in a truer, more honest way, a way that makes you feel more comfortable within yourself. Now, teach students to work as part of a team or as individuals in a wide variety of play and competitive activities. So you learn to work with others and you learn to work by yourself. You will learn to deal with this, you learn to handle pressure, you learn to tolerate when someone else isn't who you want them to be, isn't the personality you want, but the both of you are on the same team. So you have one common goal, and that goal is to win. That goal is to succeed. That goal is to be the best. So you will work together. You will learn to work together. You will learn to put your differences aside and become one to be the victors. You will learn the times when you need to take responsibility, as opposed to the time when you need to lean on someone else. In physical education class, we will learn these varying differences. We'll understand when to apply what. When you're in front of goal and it's your responsibility to take the shot, or when you're in defense and your role is to pass it to someone else to take the shot. When you're the one who's supposed to listen for an instruction, or when you're the one who's supposed to be giving an instruction. The sports is one of those things that helps us to learn to itemize these things based on the situation. Now, it develops our motor skills. What are your motor skills? Simply you handling your body. Finer motor skills, fingers, toes, larger motor skills moving your entire limbs, your arms, your legs, running, things like that. You learn to use your motor skills. Now, motor skills are not just beneficial for sports. Things like your basic coordination, your balance, your flexibility as a person. You'll see two persons walking down a corridor and some water is on it, and they both slip. And the one that is active gets up back or even catch their balance before they fall. And the other one who is inactive fall and tear a muscle because their muscles are sedentary, not active. So by developing your motor skills through sports, you will naturally be a much better person in handling you, the way you carry your body, the way you carry anything, the way you do things, the way you move, the way you are coordinated. And finally, to instill knowledge and basic understanding of rules. All sports are played with rules. Even the pickup game in the backyard or the pickup game behind the goal while the teacher is not watching, we make our own rules. So in PE class, you learn to follow rules because life is made up of rules. And oftentimes it is through the confines of sports that we as people understand that, look, we can't just do what we want. We need to do what is important. We need to do what is right. Okay? Now, we're running into benefits of physical education classes. No, the benefits are many. We can speak about the benefits for 25 days, but we're just going to touch on a few today. It improves all systems in the body. How is it PE improves all systems in the body? It does because of the constant blood flow. When you do physical activity, the flow of blood through your body is much better, much more efficient. It is always improving if you are physically active. Even the way you think, because the blood flow to the brain is so much more at this point in time, you will naturally think faster, will naturally be brighter in the things you do. Your memory will improve. There are thousands of studies out there that proves that physical activity helps mental development, psychological development, helps memory, and it helps the learning process. So it improves all systems, the way we digest, the way our bodies produce energy, the way we sweat. Everything is improved with physical activity. It improves mental health. Like I was saying, based on the increased blood flow. Naturally, we're going to be smarter, we're going to think faster, we're going to react much better. It promotes a sense of well-being, meaning how we feel about ourselves, how good we feel. When we become better at it, we naturally feel better about ourselves. It improves self-esteem. Your self-esteem is up because what, you're more confident. Being a more confident person will always impact your life in many positive ways. Improve physique, your natural physique. Your body will look better when you are fitter. because you'll be burning off the excess fat. Your systems will work better because you will not have the excess cholesterol being deposited in your arteries. Your heart will be beating more efficiently. And so you naturally look better. So soon, some of you boys, after you start look good, you stop wearing short sleeve and start wearing long sleeve. So you stop wearing long sleeve and start wearing short sleeve shirts. Till you start wearing no sleeve shirts, till you stop wearing shirts. Because you're so fit now that all you want to do is show your physique. It is through sports and physical education that we begin to develop our physique like that. Develop and improve sporting skills. Like we said, we will develop and improve sporting skills. You could play a little ball, but through PE class, you gradually learn to develop these sporting skills. You improve them, you get better. If you notice, many of our greatest sports persons were found in PE class, be it at the primary or high school level. Many of our greatest sports persons were found in PE class. Okay? Lower blood pressure. As your fitness improves, things like your blood pressure will go down. So when you hear people complaining about, oh my God, my pressure high, if you notice, listen, the fitter people are much less likely to suffer from these ailments. So you would want to ensure you're a fit person to reduce the chance of you being a part of this bracket. It delays aging. No, when we say it delays aging, we don't mean it slow down time. Time still moves. But what it does, it makes your body stay stronger, fitter for longer. So you will find the effects of aging take longer to impact you. You will find some people who are 60 who are fit and running around, and some people who are 60 and can hardly move because of their fitness level. So when we say it delays aging, it delays the impact these things will have on you. It improves your motor skills. We went through that already. We spoke about the improvement of your coordination, the way you move, the way you hold things, the way you jump, the way you walk. When you're in an accident, how you handle yourself, it improves. It breaks down social barriers. This is one we must touch on before we go. Social barriers exist all around the world. Now we want to break down these social barriers, but how? On the field of sports, we are all on one level. There's no uptown, downtown, round town, ghetto. We are all on one level. So if I'm better than you at football and I'm from a Garrison area and you're from uptown, when we're on the field of play, your uptown doesn't matter. I am now the king in this moment. In this moment, people want to be your friend. I see many things that proves the breaking down of social barriers through the use of physical education. An excellent example is Usain Bolt. If you follow him on Instagram or on Facebook, since this year, if you notice, almost everything he posts, at the end of it, you see #countryboy. He's showing you that a little boy from deep in the country can rise to the pinnacle. There is no barrier beyond Usain Bolt now. He has broken down all financial and social and class barriers through his hard work. And #countryboy is showing you that this can be done by a little country boy. If you look at his posts, he's always saying motivational things. He's always trying to uplift persons. So he's showing you that through hard work, you can break down these barriers. So you can use sports as your vehicle to break down these social barriers. So PE is one way to start, because in PE class, it's not about who is uptown, it's about the sport you're going to play. Isn't that correct? Now, reduce the symptoms of anxiety and depression. Hard for sports people to get depressed because we're always happy. We're active, there's something to do. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but the instances are much less than in the wider public. It improves your sleep. The quality of our sleep is important to us as human beings, so we need to sleep well. When we exercise, when our body is going to relax mode, we actually sleep better. So our body, our cells, they repair better and they build the new cells better. These are some more benefits of physical education. Weight control, we naturally know that because of the burning of the fat, the burning of the cholesterol. We do not allow certain carbs to settle in our body, and we have learned to eat better. reduce the risk of developing diseases such as diabetes and heart disease and clogged arteries. We stand a much less chance of developing those as persons who are participating in physical activity. We will always be at a much better place than the average man based on our involvement in physical activity. And the last one we'll be looking at is build strong bones and muscles. Naturally, you're going to become stronger. Naturally, you're going to be fitter. Your bones are going to improve, not just by the stress that we put on it to develop it, but also by the fact that we're going to cut out the sodas and all of those acidic drinks that are depleting our bones. So we went through the introduction of physical education today. That was a very quick and simple class. Hopefully we get to go deeper in the next class. So I hope you all learned something. I hope you all understood what was said. You can watch it over. The things that were said are not all. Each thing that was introduced, it goes even wider. So you can now go and research for yourself, open your mind a bit more, and understand more and more about the benefits of physical education. That is PE class for today. Thank you very much.